Hello everybody, welcome to the channel Out of Ammo Out of Time. My name is Krabby Terror 8 and here we are in part 6 of the Investigator games with everybody's favourite journalist, muckraking journalist and reporter, Rex Murphy. So I'm very excited to be playing this round of the Investigator games with Rex, but before we start, just a couple of things. Thank you very much for everybody who has watched and liked and subscribe to the previous videos. Last week's with Agnes was particularly fast and exciting, and some really fantastic efforts there from Agnes to achieve what she did in a relatively short space of time. We'll see how Rex does this time. But before we start that, just a couple of things. What are we doing here? Why do we call it the Investigator Games? Well, I suppose it's like the Hunger Games. So what we do is we take a scenario, in this case it's the Gathering, and we throw each investigator into the scenario to see how they do. In this case with their starter decks as well, which adds an additional challenge. And we then treat it like a league, so we have a league table which you can see at the end of this video with the best performing to the worst performing investigator and how they've done. And once we've done this scenario, we'll then move to Midnight Masks, and we'll keep going, and then we get the best investigator for the campaign in that way. Well, it's going to take a few weeks to get there, but that's okay. It's really fun to play each of these scenarios consistently across time with each of the investigators. I'm hoping by the time we get to the end of the Path to Carcosa investigators, the Forgotten Age investigators will be on the system as well. I'm hoping that's the case, but that's quite a way down the track at the moment. Just a couple of things about spoilers. I know there was the spoiler policy before we started here. But if you are new to Arkham Horror, the card game, if you're new to this scenario, I really do strongly urge you to seek out other YouTubes or podcasts. There is an assumption here that I'm playing to people who know the investigators quite well or know the scenarios quite well, at least the scenarios quite well. So if you don't know this scenario very well, I would strongly urge you to play it or to seek out other sort of starter Let's Play videos instead, because I won't be spending much time from that perspective. So before we start, I spent some time in the green room with Rex. We had a good chat, a couple of glasses of scotch, which was very pleasant. Rex likes a drink, as we all know. He didn't have much to say about this scenario, but he had some very interesting things to say about other things, because when it comes to finding out dirt, digging dirt, muckraking, there's nobody better than Rex and his very hipster trendy mustache that he has. So yeah, he had a chat. So a couple of things that he said. First of all, the ongoing investigation, what we're now calling Parlorgate, which was there some collusion between Wendy and Lita in some way? Because Lita, did she encourage Wendy? Why didn't she finish the scenario when she could have? She jumped into the parlour, cost her a turn. This is, like I said, under independent investigation, and I don't want to comment too much on it. However, Rex did bring some interesting information to light for those of you who are interested in this ongoing saga. First of all, apparently Roland Banks, who some of you may not know, but Roland Banks has been part of the Mueller inquiry, has been called away from that to actually investigate Parlorgate. So even though he has been involved in the Investigator games, he's been asked to investigate these claims of collusion between Lita and Wendy further. So I know that Roland is being an FBI agent, he's fiercely independent, and so but I didn't know that until Rex let me know. So that's an additional piece on that particular item, which is very interesting. Rex also brought up something very troubling, which I had no idea about, was that Wendy, of course, has been in state care for a while. However, Lita apparently made an application to be her legal guardian. So Rex has dug up this information, which was news to me, and also does add an extra layer of concern to the overall investigation. And I have to say now, I am not saying that anything has happened. I'm not saying that there has been any collusion, but let's let Roland do his work. Lita, of course, is calling for the whole thing to be shut down and saying it's a witch hunt and all sorts of things. But, you know, she can say what she says, what she likes. We'll see where the investigation takes us. Thank you to Rex for finding those things. And the other thing he said, which I didn't realise, is that the house that's being used for the gathering has been actually been condemned by local councils a number of times for all kinds of building and all kinds of other violations, and it's still standing. So first of all, he's questioning whether we should be using the venue at all, whether it should be burnt down, or indeed whether we should continue to use it. So I'm a bit concerned about those things, but at the moment we don't have a lot of choice. We need to keep using it. But just to put it out there that there are some concerns about the property itself and its viability and whether it will remain standing moving forward. So as you can see, Rex is a fearless investigator and reporter. He will find things if there are things to find. And indeed, you can see that in his, you know, if you succeed a skill test by 2 or more, you discover a clue. And indeed, his elder sign is you can actually automatically choose to fail and draw 3 cards. So he's a real clue getter, card drawer. So Daisy as a seeker didn't do so well. She's not doing so well on the table. It'll be interesting to see how Rex goes. I'm just going to bring up Rex's cards so we can just have a look at them. Here, I should have done this earlier, I do apologise, but let's have a look. This is his starter deck, and yes, if you weren't aware, actually Fantasy Flight Games does include starter decks for all starting investigators, and again, they're never optimized, they're never ideal, and this one is no exception. So a couple of things, it's a sort of a combination of seeker cards, as we would expect things like medical text, but it's also got some rogue cards, which I'm fairly happy about, because this particular card here, Elusive, if I was playing, I'd probably have 2 of these, because this card has saved my bacon when I'm playing just generally more than once, and I think we're going to need a card like this if we're going to actually beat the Ghoul Priest, because without Lita Chandler, I think Rex is really going to struggle, because the only weapon that he has in his whole deck, there's no fire axe here, there's nothing like that, he just has 2 knives. Now, call me old-fashioned, but I don't think that investigating the Ghoul Priest is going to cause him to fall down dead. So he is going to need some help, and so Lita Chandler is going to be critical in that if we are hoping to do anything. So even looking at the rogue cards, we have Elusive, but there's no... And we have Pickpocketing, but there is no Backstab. No Sneak Attack. There's none of those sorts of cards. We do have Mind Over Matter, so we do have a card like that. So there is the odd card to help us with combat, but I have to say, this is going to be a tough gig, and we will need Lita. So immediately, clue getting is not going to be the issue. In fact, you know, we already have an intellect of 4. We've got 2 flashlights here. We've got plenty of ways to investigate. Investigation isn't going to be the issue. We need to get the clues as quickly as possible, because we really do then need to parlay with Lita and get her on board if we hope to do things. Even our sort of talent card is fine for evasion and things, but again, fighting is going to have to be about evasion and getting hits in while we can, if we're going to do this. So a similar challenge to Daisy. And like I said, if I was optimizing this deck and I'm running Rex solo, I would definitely have a different set of cards to ensure we were more rounded out. This starter deck feels like a multiplayer deck where Rex is really just focused on the clue getting part, but in this case, no such luck. So I feel this is going to be quite a challenging scenario, not in terms of getting the clues. I think we'll get the clues relatively quickly. I think the issue here is going to be, of course, getting the Ghoul Priest to 0 health. So that's that. I think we can close and shuffle the deck there. We are at turn 1 of the investigation phase. We are ready to go. We are in the study. Here's Rex. He's got his 3 actions, 2 clues. I've put out the other cards so that I don't waste time putting out those cards. It's not a card putting out simulator, so I've put those out. We've just got to remember, if we draw one of the ghouls, the icy ghoul or the flesh eater, and we're still in the study, which is really unlikely because we'll be able to study, I'm sure, very quick, then they just don't spawn because those don't exist. I also spoke to the Ghoul Priest. Hello! I spoke to the Ghoul Priest. He's smarting after last week. Not giving anything away about last week. If you didn't see last week's with Agnes, I really would recommend that you have a look at that one. But he's wringing his hands with pleasure. Sorry, not wringing his hands, rubbing his hands with pleasure, because he thinks he's going to be bringing the pain to Rex with this one. He knows that Rex is not the world's best fighter, and Ghoul Priest doesn't care about investigative reporters generally. So he's rubbing his hands with glee. Lita, I know she's under a cloud with the investigation, but she's also rubbing her hands with glee because she knows that Rex has got Buckley's chance of succeeding at all unless he gets her on board. So I think she is fully expecting that he will. As long as he can get to her, that's going to be the main thing. Okay, so we're all ready to roll. Let me read out the scenarios as I do each time. What's going on? It's late at night and you're holed up in your study researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region, which feels completely congruent with Rex. You can imagine him actually doing that. Whereas with Wendy, it seems strange that she would have her own house. With Rex, this seems completely, notwithstanding that the house itself might actually be built under questionable circumstances or condemned. But anyway, a few hours into your research, you hear a sound of strange chanting coming from your parlour down the hall. I would probably append that Rex would probably look at his whiskey glass and wonder if he'd had too many. But at the same time, you hear dirt churning as if someone were digging beneath the floor. Seems like Rex isn't the only muckraker around at the moment. So, let's have a look at Trapped. Trapped? Well, it's more like trapped. As you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes, leaving only a solid wall. You're trapped inside your study until you can find another way out. So there we go. We're here in the study with Rex, and we're ready to draw our cards. Very exciting. This is my favourite piece. Always my most favourite piece is drawing these cards and seeing what we get. Now I'm hoping that we get some cards that we need. We need something like an elusive or something like that. Not for now, but down the track. So I'm hoping we get something like that. I hope we get at least one knife, because if we don't have any weapons, it's going to be tough. Because we've got 3 vitality, but that's not that great if you need to avoid monsters either. So let's see how we go. So first draw is burglary. Okay, exhaust burglary. You gain 3 resources. Yeah, that can be helpful if we need resources, of course. We get opportunist, lots of road cards here. Okay, it's a wild card icon, so that could be handy. We also get think on your feet, which really allows you to move to a connecting location, which actually, like elusive, could be really handy if we're in the hallway and the Ghoul Priest spawns. The other thing I should say is Milan Christopher is something which would be super handy to start with as well. We get the knife, very nice. And finally, we get Mind Over Matter. Okay, so of all of these, I like this card, and I like this card, but there's no Milan Christopher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw out the others, all three of the others, and oh, not yet. And I'm going to draw 3 more, and we get Perception, Shortcut, and finally another Perception. So no Milan Christopher. There's only 1 in here. Yes, that's an okay start. Yeah, we've got a knife and we've got Think on Your Feet. So we've got things that we can use down the track. Shortcut's nice for just getting through quickly. And we've got Perception, which can definitely help us parley with Lita. So we've got all of those things set up. So I feel comfortable about that. I think we're in a good place to start. It would be nice to get a flashlight for the cellar because that's got a 4 shroud. But we've got some time for that. So let's put these back into the deck. Let's shuffle up the deck, shuffle away, and let's begin. So we start with our 3 actions, and let's go Rex. The crowd goes wild. Rex waves to the crowd. He's looking a little bit just sort of slurring his words, and he might have had one too many whiskies to calm his nerves to start with, but he believes he did tell me this, he believes he actually operates better when he's had a few drinks, so that may be the reason why. So here we are, we're in the study. It's always very focused here. What do we do in the study? Well, first of all, we're probably going to flip the study because it's not flipped. Here we go. Why was it flipped? It was flipped. Here we go, we're in the study with the 2 clues. Okay, so first action, we're going to 2 versus 4. We're just going to straight up just investigate because it's a -2 or better. So if we succeed by 2 or more, then we get the extra clue. So things could move very fast here. So first action, -2 or better. Chaos Bag says Skull, and that is a success. So it's -0. So we did succeed by 2 or better. So it's for each ghoul. There's no ghouls, so it's a 0. We succeeded by 2, and if you succeed by 2 or more, you discover a clue at your location, and there you go. Look at that. That is what Rex Murphy does best. He's drunkenly flailed around in the study, and he's already found 2 of the clues. Wow. I knew it was going to be fast, but not that fast. So I think you can do that every single time. So that's it. We can take the 2 clues off, and we can immediately flip. You can immediately flip here, which is you notice the edges of your newly purchased rug are tattered and mud-stained from too much muck raking, probably. Finding this odd, you shift the furniture aside and pull back the rug. To your surprise, you see the door leading out of your study. You slowly turn the knob, and the door swings open, revealing your hallway below. You jump through the doorway, landing on your feet on soft dirt. The door to the study slams shut above you, clearly nearly banging you in the head. The smell of burning wood fills the narrow hall, intermingled with the scent of rot and decay. Do you need to say rot and decay? I mean, scent of rot, doesn't that imply decay? Or if you say the scent of decay, doesn't that imply rot? Do you have to say rot and decay? Isn't that just sort of saying the same thing? Anyway, so we put in the hallway, the cellar, and the attic, the parlour. Take out the study. Bye-bye study, you've gone. Rex Panyao is in the hallway. Let's flip the hallway. Yeah. Placing an investigation to help remove the study from the game. There we go. So yes. So we delete that out. We don't need that now. And we are now the barrier. It's a good job it's not a question mark for this one. The barrier? Or the barrier! A glowing barrier blocks the path to your parlour. As you move toward it, is it towards it or toward it? See, the more times I read these things, the more time I wonder. Intense heat forces you to back away, as opposed to intense heat forcing you to move further towards it. Anyway, picking up a handful of dirt, you toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar or attic that can help. Hint, hint. So when the round ends, so we can spend 3 clues in the hallway and bring on the ghoul priest. So there we go, super fast. We've only used 1 action and we're already in the hallway. So the question is, do we go down to the attic first, or do we take a little trip up? Sorry, do we go down to the cellar first, or do we take the trip up to the attic now? Well, I've really kind of have a tradition here where we start with the attic, and I think I'm going to continue that tradition, mainly because it would be nice to get a flashlight. It would be nice to have a flashlight so we can at least go down to the cellar and investigate that relatively quickly. I mean, yes, we've got these perceptions anyway, but I'd like to keep those for Leader Chandler as well. So, however, before we move to the attic, I think it would be prudent to bring out a knife. So I'm going to spend 1, and I'm going to bring out the knife, because we don't want to be caught without any way of defending ourselves. That would not be a good idea. And then I think for our third action, la-di-da-di-da, up to the attic we go. So we're up in the attic, and yep, 2 clues here. Super fast, good on your Rex. And of course the attic, as we know, is a gourmand's delight of bloody carcasses. But after we arrive here, we take a horror. So I would, well, but we've got horror to burn, so it's not the end of the world. So there you go. Rex, meh, whatevs. Doesn't care. It's really his health that's the thing, that's the main issue that he has. So he's got horror to burn. Alright. So there we go, in a very action-packed first investigator phase. We discovered the clues in 1 turn. We immediately moved to the hallway. We brought out the knife, and we took a trip up to the attic, and that's where we are now. So that's the first investigation phase done. So let's move on to the enemy phase, or the enema phase, as I like to call it. Yeah, that joke never gets old. There's no enemies and no enemas, thankfully, at this time. So I think we can safely move to the next turn, which is the upkeep phase. And yeah, we get an extra resource, and we get medical texts, which is essentially lets us heal damage. If you succeed, heal 1 damage, which could be handy later. Not right now, perhaps, but definitely handy later. However, I would have liked flashlight, but we'll see how we go. It looks like we might be throwing in the perceptions, because the thing is, there's 2 clues there. So, and I don't really want to use up all my intellect pips if we're going to get Leader Chandler on board as quickly as possible. So, whilst I don't mind medical text, I would have liked flashlight. Okay, here we move to the inaugural Mythos phase, everybody's favourite phase, and let's see what the Mythos phase has for us. So 1 doom, still some time here. Let's move straight into what the encounter deck has to say, and the encounter deck gives us Obscuring Fog. So that's really a free pass, because that's +2 Shroud. No, it's not a free pass. I'm thinking we've already gotten the clues. So that's actually, Obscuring Fog would be much worse in the cellar than the attic, let's face it. So we're going to get Obscuring Fog. It's better to turn a 1 into a 3 Shroud rather than a 4 into a 6 Shroud. So after attached location is successfully investigated, so as long as we do it in 1 time, then it's all fine. But that may potentially slow us down here in the attic. There we go. So that's the first round. Crowd's excited. Tension is building. Rex is in the attic. And suddenly this fog creeps across the attic. Rex swings around, flailing, wondering what's going on. Is he going to be able to get the clues this round? Let's put the 3 actions on Rex. There we go. There, Rex, you've got your 3 actions. Knife in hand. and we move into the investigation phase. Okay, well, what are we going to do? Well, pretty clear what we're going to do. It's a 3 shroud, and we have a 4 intellect. So we could just go ahead, it's a -1 or better, and we've got 3 actions to do that. Now I could pitch in one of these perceptions, because then that would really help. I'm going to hold off doing that because I don't want to use these at the moment unless I absolutely have to, unless we're really slowing down. So I'm going to try to investigate without using them at the moment. So this is a 3, we are a 4, -1 or better. The chaos bag for the first one says -1 or better. So that's successful. What does it say? If it is successfully investigated, discard obscuring fog. Bye bye, obscuring fog. Nice knowing you. Obscuring. As quickly as it was there, it's disappeared again, which I think Rex is probably suspecting that whoever's creating these investigator games is using a smoke machine to kind of create the fog, and then it disappears just as quick. So there we go. That was our first action. Got the clue. Second action now. This is like 1 versus 4, so it's a -3 or better. Chaos bag says -3. Look at that. We get another clue. So we could actually just thinking about it for a second. Oh no, sorry, it's not the elder sign. I was going to say we could fail but no, you need the elder sign to do that. So there you go, 2 clues. Crag goes wild. First victory point. Let's put a damage on that to say we have that victory point. So we're already off and running with the victory points. This is only turn 2, so things are moving. Rex is moving super duper fast, and let's move back to the hallway for our 3rd turn. Done. There we go. We knew this was going to be. Rex is just the clue getter from heaven. He is just just so amazing at getting clues. So this is expected in the sense that we would move through so fast in terms of getting the clues. It's only turn 2, and we're already out of the study, into the attic, and down back to the hallway, ready to go into the cellar. Just blindingly fast. So if we do well in the cellar and we can get back to the hallway and evade the Ghoul Priest and get Leader Shandor, Rex could actually end up on top. It is possible he could get all this done, because now we know that the gold standard is 9 turns to get through this. So it's possible he could do that, but that remains to be seen. So there we go. He's back down in the hallway, and it's the end of the investigation phase. Let's move into the enema phase. There are no enemies to speak of, none. The house is empty of enemies at the moment. So he can move straight into the upkeep phase. And look at that. Look at that. Flashlight. Could it be any more perfect than that? We get the flashlight just when we need it. Absolutely amazing. So that's fantastic. Really good. Couldn't have asked for a better draw there. Brilliant. So we are ready, seller. We are ready for you. So let's move directly into the next phase, which is the second Mythos phase. Dun, 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 dun. Yep, second Doom. We've still got another one. So unless we get Ancient Evils or something like that, we do have another round before that flips. So yes, interesting to see what we get in terms of the encounter deck. I've just realised though, and I'm sure some of you are screaming at the screen right now, that Rex might have made a slight error here. He's sitting with his knife, which is all very well, but if we draw a Crypt Chill and we fail the willpower test, then the knife will be no longer. And so, we could have brought out the medical text as a sort of a way to avoid that. So that we are taking a little bit of a risk that we're going to get Crypt Chilled. And it's always something that, it's one of those things where it's very easy to forget that there's Crypt Chill. Very easy to forget it's there, just going along, and then every so often it comes and bites you on the bum, and this could be one of those bum biting moments. So let's see how we do with the encounter deck. Encounter deck says no, it isn't Crypt Chill. It's our friend Grasping Hands. Grasping Hands, which, given that we've only got 6 life, is not great to get. I would rather get Rotting Remains than Grasping Hands, but anyway, that's what we've drawn. It's a test 3. For each point you fail, take a damage. Ooh, so we could be potentially up for 3 points of damage, which would be nasty. So the crowd goes hushed as Rex deals with these Grasping Hands. So, first of all, are we going to throw our Think on Your Feet into this? No, not at all. Think on Your Feet we will not be using that. We don't have any other. Oh yes, well we do. We have Shortcut. We could throw in Shortcut, but again, no. I think we're going to just risk it for a biscuit here. It's a 3, and we are a 3, so it's a 3 versus a 3. Chaos Bag says, yes, the skull -0, so it's all perfectly fine. We had nothing to worry about. Thank you, and good night, Grasping Hands. Let me get rid of that. There we go. So we managed to avoid the Grasping Hands, which is brilliant. So that's the end of the second Mythos phase. Let's put the actions back on Rex, his 3 actions. And let's move into the investigation phase. Okay, so here we are. We're in the investigation phase. We've got 2 of our clues, 3 actions. The first thing we're going to do is pay 2 and bring out the flashlight. That's our hand slots used up. So we can't play medical text at the moment anyway. Let's put 3 supplies on here. 3 supplies on the flashlight. And then dunk, dunk, dunk. Let's move to the cellar. That's the second turn. Move to the cellar. There we go. 2 clues on the cellar. And after you enter the cellar, you take 1 damage. Yes, there was a bit of rust on the handrail going down to the cellar, which snicked his hand. Ouch! Take a damage. Really should have got that painted a bit better. So there we go. Taken a damage. We're now here in the cellar. It's got a 4 shroud. We've got 1 more action. Let's use the flashlight. So we bring out the flashlight, which brings us down to 2. 2 shroud versus 4 intellect. So it's a -2 or better. If we do 2 or better, we've got both. So let's see what the Chaos Bag says. Chaos Bag says a skull again. Was that the skull again? Yeah, that's the skull again. So that's a 0. That means we get both of the clues. Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow, look at that. Amazing. It's turn 3 and we have all of the clues. There are no other clues in this scenario. So we have literally all of the clues, which means we no longer need the flashlight. We can't even use it to throw at something. We can literally get rid of the flashlight now. So that is amazingly fast. That is blisteringly fast. Wow. I don't think any of the other investigators, I'm almost sure, haven't investigated as fast as this. The crowd is just going wild about that. So amazing. We started in the hallway, we brought out the flashlight, we moved to the cellar, and we got both of the clues. Just like that. Amazing. So Rex is really moving apace. So this means that, depending on what comes out, but it may mean that we, I don't know, maybe we take a bit more time to get ourselves ready before we bring on the Ghoul Priest. There's sort of two schools of thought here. We just keep moving through, because each round we go, there's a possibility of more enemies and bad things happening, or we take our time and we set ourselves up. We get maybe Blind Christopher out, who can soak up some damage. we get the other knife, so we've got a couple of opportunities to throw and attack with the knife as well as Lita. So there's a few things like that. Let's see how we go. So amazing. So let's move into the next round, which is the enema phase. There are still no enemies. Enemies are staying away. So we move to the upkeep phase and we get manual dexterity. Yep, that's a good card because it gives us evasion. So, you know, we can be in a situation perhaps now where if we are engaging the Ghoul Priest, we can evade and then hit the Ghoul Priest without any retaliation, which might be helpful and indeed desirable at some stage. So that's the upkeep phase. I don't know where the other knife is, whether the other knife is ever going to appear. Anyway, let's move into the into the Mythos phase. And as we can see, Mythos phase 3 Doom. So we take the 3 Doom off. Take the 3 Doom off. Flip this. Your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It's almost as if you've been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognise elements of your former home. Ah, that's the whiskey decanter over there. Ah, there's those crystal cut glasses that I wondered where they'd gone. They're over there. Ah, there's the cocktail shaker. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. So, anyway, the lead investigator must decide either each investigator discards one card from a random or take 2 horror. Well, you know, Rex Murphy, horror. What? He's going to take the 2 horror. So, here we go. 3 horror, he's still got 6, so he's perfectly fine. Let's take that out. Okay, Rise of the Ghouls. The floor beneath you is giving way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. And it says you probably don't want to be there when they do, but I think it's probably like you're not going to be there when they do, because Rex is moving so blisteringly fast that they just can't keep up. It's 7 turns now, which feels like forever, but, you know, who knows? Just need a couple of ancient evils and things could change very quickly. Speaking of ancient evils, it's time to look at the next encounter card. And the encounter card is, the companion to Grasping Hands, which is Rotting Remains. So we got the Rotting Remains. Test 3 willpower. If you fail, take a horror. Now we have 1 card that we could commit, which I don't want to, because we have a willpower of 3 as well, so it would be 3 versus 3. So the worst case scenario is if we take 3. I'm prepared to risk it for a biscuit. What does Chaos Bag say? -4. Oh dear. So that is 3, isn't it? Because it's, yes, 3 versus 7. So that's 3 points, isn't it? 3 versus 7. Yes. So the most is 3, isn't it? You can't take 4 points, I don't think. Or can you take 4 points? If it's 3, and I'm 3, and we get a -4, then that's actually 4 points. So we've taken 4 horror. I think that's right. I don't know if the maximum is you can take 3, but I'm just going to take the 4 horror because I'm assuming if it's 3 versus 3 and we get a -4, then it's 7 versus 3, which means that we failed by 4. So that's 4. That was really bad. Even if we'd committed this, it would still be bad. So we're getting a bit jittery. All of a sudden we've gone from being very fine to actually not so fine. So we're going to need some horror soaks, because we can't afford to lose any more horror. We can't afford any retaliation from the Ghoul Priest. We are going to need Lita Chandler. This is, yes. So I think we'll be okay. And we can't use this. This heals damage. It doesn't heal horror. So we have no way of doing that. Okay. 3 actions. three actions, and I'm going to pause actually. I'm just going to pause the video. I'm just going to double check the 4 horror versus the 3 because I don't want Rex to fail and then find that he actually wouldn't have failed. So I'm just going to pause this for a moment, and I'm going to just double check that you can fail by 4. I'll just be 1 second. Hello everybody, I'm back. Yes, my understanding is that actually you can't fail by more than 3. So if the modifier is 3 and you get a -4, you still fail by 3. I'm not exactly sure. I know with auto fail you only lose 3. So it's a little bit confusing from my perspective why you wouldn't lose 4 sanity. But my understanding is that the maximum you would lose is 3 sanity. So I'm going to stay with that. Please, if I've done that wrong, please let me know, but I'm going to assume for the purposes of this, the most you can lose with Rotting Remains and Grasping Hands is 3. Even if I'd drawn a -8 or -9, I would have still, the maximum I would have lost is 3 in that case. So back on track after that. I do apologise. I should know this by now. I've done this so many times, but I always doubt myself on that particular test, but I just look through it. I look through the commentary on Reddit and others. I understand the auto fail is lost by 3, so I think as anything worse than a -3 is still -3. It's not sort of if you drew a -8, you would then have be -11. You could literally go insane with 1 card. So I think that's the case. So let's move on with that assumption. And let's move into the investigation phase. And here we have our 3 actions. We're a little bit shaky, so I think we need to make some moves here. So we move back to the hallway first of all. That's the first thing we can do. The second thing we do is, well, we can't do anything really at the moment because we've got to activate the Ghoul Priest at the end of this. So we've got a couple of choices. We get more resources, which we don't need. We could bring out medical texts, which we kind of don't need at the moment. My feeling is we draw some cards and see if we can boost ourselves up. So let's draw a card, see what we get. Elusive, fantastic. And what we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just draw another card and see what we get, and we get Research Librarian, which, you know, we could put that into play and get a tome, and at least that's some kind of a soak in that way, so possibly something that we can use. So that's our turn. So we move from there. We didn't really do anything except move and draw some cards. Let's move into the enemy phase. There are no enemies to speak of. We move into the upkeep phase. There we go. We have now drawn the knife. So I don't think you can see this window. This window has come up. I've now got more than 8 cards. I need to get rid of a card. I just drew the knife. So I have a choice. This is actually really tough because all of these are good cards. Even Medical Text has got a fight on it. I don't know which one. Maybe I should have shortcutted and then I could have kept them all. What do we want to lose here? Well, we probably don't need both Think on Your Feet and Elusive at the same time. We definitely want the knife. Medical Text is another fight. We've got lots of evasion. We can't play more than 1 perception, actually. We can only play 1. We can only commit to 1. So I'm probably going to take out the perception because we don't need 2 of them. There we go. That's our upkeep phase. We are now at the end of the phase. We're going to spend our 3 clues. We are going to do this. We're going to spend the 3 clues and we're going to move forward. So we're going to flip that, and here we go. Using a barrel from the attic, you carry ice and snow from the cellar and hurl it at the barrier. The barrier sparks and shudders as it consumes the ice, then hisses and fades out of existence. The barrier blocking the passage to the parlour has vanished. Reveal the parlour. Put Leader Chandler in the parlour. Hello. No, she doesn't do hello. That's the Ghoul Priest. Hello, I'm here. It's Lita. What have you done with my barrier then? And also, we put the Ghoul Priest in the hallway. Hello, I'm here. Anybody want to play Edition 3 of Arkham Horror, the board game? Oh, so exciting. Let's put him down here. Yes, so there we go. And it says, what have you done? A woman with a torch stands in your parlour, a glimmer of hatred in her eyes. What have you done to my barrier? She screams furious. Before you can answer, a ghastly wail sounds behind you, and a creature wearing robes and a deer skull mask enters through the wall, advancing towards you. Some people might pay good money for that kind of service. Anyway, so yes, if the Ghoul Priest is defeated, advance. So there we go. That's where we are. We've got the Ghoul Priest. we are flailing around with a flashlight and a knife, which I'm sure is scaring the Ghoul Priest half to death. Not. So yes, there we are. We've moved forward. It's only turn 4 and we're already here. So we are really going to go for this, and I think without Lita, I mean, we could not try and knife the Ghoul Priest, but I think we want Lita's help. I think that would be a good idea. But before we do that, let me just take that into the discard pile. Let's draw from the encounter deck, and the encounter deck gives us, the Flesh Eater. Humanoid monster ghoul spawns in the attic. So, yeah, a bit late to be trying to go back and get the Flesh Eater. Not that we would, because fighting is, not what Rex is about. So let's leave that. So yes, that's fine. Unless we get to the next round, it's not going to make a difference. So. Did we actually move to the... yes, I wondered where that was. I think we got a bit ahead of ourselves. So instead of going to the Mythos phase and putting on the Doom, we moved right to drawing from the encounter deck, getting a bit ahead of ourselves. So there's only one Doom on there. We've still got 6 rounds to go. So the Flesh Eater's just going to sit there. If we get to the next lot, it will start moving down into the hallway, but I doubt the game's going to last that long. So there we are. It's now turn 5. Basically, we've got 4. If we can get this done before turn 9, then Rex is a hero, a goddamn hero. So let's see how we go. So the first thing that we're going to do is I should have played this when the Ghoul Priest spawned. I'm sorry, I didn't realise, but let's do it now. It's fine. I would have played this. So this think on your feet. Fast play when an enemy would spawn at your location. Immediately move to a connecting location. The enemy still spawns at your previous location. So I should have played this at the time. I was so caught up with the other things. It's fine. We can do it now. So I'll play the 1. We'll bring it out. Think on your feet. Okay, immediately move to a connecting location. So it just happens. So we immediately move to the parlour. That means the Ghoul Priest is here going, where's Rex go? Hello, where's he gone? So we've moved immediately to a connecting location. So that means that's flipped. Yeah, we can resign. We can parley lead to Chandler here. So that's an amazing card because basically we immediately move to a connecting location. There we go. So yes, sorry, I just totally forgot to play that at the time, so that's fine. So here we are. That's the end of the Mythos phase. We move into the investigation phase. We have 3 actions for Rex. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our best to get Lita Chandler on board. Why should I come along with you, a muckraking journalist? I don't like you lot. So we've got to try and convince her of that. So we have a intellect of 4. It's 4 versus 4. So we would make it, we'll pitch this in, so that makes it a 6 versus a 4. I don't think we need this anymore, so we're going to make it a 7 versus a 4. 7 versus 4 to get Lita on board. Chaos Bag says -2. It's a success. Crowd goes wild. Lita goes wild. Lita's very happy. Oh, I wondered when you would get me on board. Oh, what a nice young man you are. So here we go. We've got Lita on board. That means we get +1 fight. And if it's a monster enemy, which it is, then we get +1 damage. So that's our first action. That is brilliant. Fantastic. Now, the issue here is that the Ghoul Priest is a hunter. So if we allow, if we just sit around in the parlour, the Ghoul Priest will just jump into the parlour and get a free hit on us, which we don't want. We definitely don't want that. So we actually need to kind of be in the hallway again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the shortcut because we can't afford to just sit in the parlour. I'm going to play the shortcut and move. Shortcut says fast play, choose an investigator, move to a connecting location. We're just going to move back. So the Ghoul Priest's like, where's Rex? Oh, there he is. Hello, I'm going to kill you. So yeah, we're back here with the Ghoul Priest, and we've still got 2 turns. Wow, he's able to zip around like no one's business, isn't he? So yes. So I think we've got 2 turns. So what we can do is we don't want to be retaliated against. Basically, what are we looking at? He's got a 4 fight. We've got a 2, 3, 4. We've got a 4 fight as well. So it's a 4 versus a 4. We can make it a 5 versus a 4. If we fail though, he's going to do an attack on us. He's going to retaliate. So I'm thinking I might try and evade him first because he's got a 4 evasion and we've got a 3, but we can make it a 5, 6. If we evade him, then we can look to get a free hit on him. If only we had things like backstab, but anyway, and then we know we're not going to get hit back. Or we could evade him and bring out the other knife, but yeah, that might be, because then we can, or do we use that for 2 turns? I mean, with another knife, that means we get the +2. Otherwise, we're going to have to evade him again to get the other knife out. Well, anyway, the first thing to do, I think, is to evade him. So we're going to pitch these in. So essentially we are now a 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 versus a 4 for evasion. So this is our second turn. We're going to evade him. Chaos Bag says, oh, -2. If there's a ghoul enemy at location, take a damage. So we do take a damage, but we succeed. 6 versus 4. So we succeed, and we draw another card, which is the Old Book of Law, which is a pretty useless card to get right now. That's the worst card we could have got. So the Ghoul Priest is exhausted. Oh, where's he gone now? And we take a damage. Well, let's just put the damage on Lita at the moment. Yeah, so we take a damage. So now we have a choice. We could hit the Ghoul Priest, or we could bring out the other knife. which do we do, which do we do, which do we do, and really, because the flashlight's useless now. Yeah, I don't know whether it's better to get some damage in now or forfeit damage. I think it would be a good idea to get some damage in. So here we go. We're a 4 fight with Lita. 4 fight versus 4. Let's make it a 5 versus a 4. 5 versus a 4. Let's see how we go. Chaos Bag says -1. It's a success, and we do 2 points of damage to the Ghoul Priest. So I'm happy about that. Ow! Where did that come from? Ow! Take that, you nasty Ghoul Priest! So there we go. That's our third turn. So a very exciting round. We kind of, the Ghoul Priest spawned and we shifted to the parlour. So our first action was to parley with Lita, and we convinced her straight up to do it. So she came on board. We then zipped back to the hallway using shortcut. There's clearly some kind of bookcase in the hallway where you can sort of zip between them. We then evaded the Ghoul Priest, and then we hit the Ghoul Priest for 2. So we're on our way. However, the fun and games is going to be after this because, yes, we've still got to do 3 points of damage. Okay, so we move into the enemy phase. The Ghoul Priest is exhausted. Oh, I'm so tired. And we move into the upkeep phase where we get emergency cash. It's like these 2 cards we just don't need anymore. Oh well, Ghoul Priest is back. I'm back. I'm bad. And that's the end of the upkeep phase, and we move into the to the Mythos phase. There are 2 Doom. There's plenty of time there. Let's see what the encounter deck gives us. And the encounter deck gives us Crypt Chill. Crypt Chill, test 4. If you fail, choose and discard an asset you control. Well, there's one asset here that we don't give a shit about anymore, and that's the flashlight. So let's just go ahead. 3 versus 4. Chaos Bag says -3. Oh dear, how terrible. We fail Crypt Chill and we lose the flashlight. No big deal. So there you go. It's actually, I realise now, if we'd brought out the knife, see, if we'd brought out the knife and replaced with the flashlight, we would have lost the knife. So in hindsight, that's probably a good thing that we didn't do that. Right, that's the end of the Mythos phase. We move into the investigation phase. It is only turn 6. It is only turn 6. We have 3 actions. And here we are, ready to fight the Ghoul Priest. Now the Ghoul Priest, we need to do 3 points of damage. We've got the knife in play, Leader Chandler in play. The Ghoul Priest is readied, so he can retaliate if we don't succeed. And it's 4 versus 4. So, and it would be, so first of all, is evasion a better way of doing things right at the moment? 3 versus 4, the answer is no. That's a much worse outcome. So the best thing that we can do, I'm afraid, is fight him. So, yes. So he's a 4. We are a 2, 3. We're a 4 as well. So it's 4 versus 4. Now the question is, do we throw in the knife? We're not going to be able to play the knife because we can't risk an attack of opportunity. So I suppose if we'd kept our elusive, we could have eluded him, moved back to the parlour, brought out the knife. But we actually need the knife because I want to increase the odds. So I'm actually going to pitch in the knife for the pip. So that's a fight. Here we go. So we are now a 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 4 on the Ghoul Priest. Chaos Token says -1. Oh my goodness, we did it. We did another 2 points of damage to the Ghoul Priest. Oops, not Doom. 2 points of damage. So we're now at 4. Take that! Oh! So now things are really, this is really looking good. We've only got to do 1 point of damage to the Ghoul Priest. We have no more fight cards. So we have a choice here. Sorry, that was our first turn. We've got 2 more turns to go. So we can either just try and do 4 versus 4 and see, and then if that fails, we literally last ditch throw the knife as a final. I think that's what we're going to do, because we can just about take 1 action from the Ghoul Priest. If we fail both, then we may be going down, but I'm prepared to take that risk, because you've got to risk it for a biscuit, as they say. So, yeah, or do we? No, because we do the... Or do we? No, because if we discard the knife and we fail, then we're in a really bad place. So I would rather try for our second turn. I'm going to risk a retaliation. We've got a 2, 3, 4, 4 versus 4 for the game with the Ghoul Priest. Drum roll. The crowd has gone silent. There is silence in the auditorium, except for the flesh eater that's eating. But there is silence in the rest of the auditorium. The crowd is gone completely hushed as we draw from the Chaos Bag. And then, the crowd, there's a big groan from the crowd. We miss. Ghoul Priest whacks Rex and Lita 2-2. So, Lita's going to take 2 horror. And she can't take, she'll take 1 damage. Not 1, keep doing that. She'll take a damage. And I'll take the other damage. So that's the 2 damage and the 2 horror. There we go. There we go. So this is the final round. We are going to throw the knife. So we discard the knife. We throw the knife at the Ghoul Priest, which gives us a +2 attack. So that makes us a 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 versus 4. Crowd goes quiet again. Chaos Bag says, no! Let me just check. 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. We fail again, which means he retaliates again. 2-2. So we can take the... Yes, we can take the 2 damage. There's the damage. We take the 2 damage. The 2 horror. We take 1 horror. Lita is going to have to take the other horror. And she goes, dear, I'm gone. That's the Ghoul Priest. Oh dear, oh, gone insane. So unfortunately, Lita is out of the picture. She's gone insane. Oh, I can't delete her. Doesn't matter, put her over here. Okay, and I think that's the end of our turn. In the enemy phase, the Ghoul Priest hits us for 2. Rex Murphy goes insane. Rex Murphy falls in a gibbering heap, and the Ghoul Priest is triumphant. So there we have it. It was a very, very quick round. It was very, very quick. I thought maybe we were so close to getting there. It was, in the end, it was a 5 versus a 4. We had 2 bad draws from the Chaos Bag, but we came close. It was just, we did so well getting the clues so fast. It was that close. Rex could have ended up being on the absolute top of the league table. He does get 2 victory points, but he has died, which, if there's other people with 2 victory points and things, that does mean he would be below them. It does mean that he suffers a mental trauma as well, which he will take into Midnight Masks. But, his deck was not exactly ideal. Maybe if I'd kept the elusive, I could have moved into the parlour and then I would have had to have moved back. So I'm not sure that was particularly helpful. This was really unfortunate. Emergency Cash and Old Book of Law, they were the worst cards to get at the time. If we'd gotten things which were more fight cards or evasion cards, we could have certainly done a lot better than we did. But unfortunately, luck was not on our side. It wasn't on Rex's side. The Ghoul Priest is ecstatic. He's actually managed to take down an investigator. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Rex, unfortunately, didn't do so well, but he did get his 2 victory points, which we kind of expected. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. The league table will be after this video, and have a look at that and see how all the investigators are going. Next week, I suppose we'll be... Is it Jenny Barnes? Yes. Yes. Pretty sure it's Jenny Barnes. So it looks like we'll be doing this with Jenny Barnes next week. Until then, like I said, thank you very much for watching and subscribing. I really do appreciate it. And until that time, I'm Krabby Terror 8. Thank you and goodbye.